What would it cost you to make the inside of your rig look like a $200,000 grand design when you actually paid $38,000 for a base model Forest River with orange cabinets? Almost nothing. That is the whole point of this video. I have owned 4 rigs over the last 18 years, a pop-up, a travel trailer, a fifth wheel, and the Class C I am sitting in right now, and every single one of them came from the factory looking like it was decorated in 1998 by somebody who hated color. The dealer wanted $4,200 to redo my interior on the fifth wheel. I did the whole thing myself for under $600, and it looked better than the dealer mock-up. None of what I am about to show you needs power tools you do not already own. None of it voids your warranty if you do it right. And most of it survives the one thing that kills cheap RV upgrades, which is thermal cycling, the heating and cooling your rig goes through when it bakes at 115 degrees in the Arizona sun and then drops to 30 degrees the same night in the high desert. Stay until the end, because there is one upgrade that costs about $40, takes an afternoon, and does more for resale value than anything else on this list, and I have never seen a deal in it because they would rather sell you a new rig. Let me walk you through all of them. The first thing I tell anybody who wants their rig to look expensive overnight is rip out the valances. The valance, in case you bought your first rig last spring and nobody explained it, is that padded fabric box mounted over each window, usually wrapped in the same dated upholstery as the 1990s couch. They are the single biggest reason your rig reads as old. They are also held on with 4 screws each and come off in about 90 seconds. Once they are gone, you put up a simple tension rod, the spring-loaded kind you twist to fit inside the window frame, and hang linen-look curtains from Walmart or IKEA. The rod runs about $6, the curtains about $18 a panel, so call it $25 a window. The change is immediate, and your wife will think you spent a fortune. My wife walked in after I did the bedroom and asked if we could afford it. We had already owned the rig for 6 years, one thing the forums warn about, and they are right. Some valances on travel trailers are not just decorative, they hide the screw heads and the mounting bracket for the window shade above them. So before you toss the valance in the dumpster, look behind it and make sure your shade has its own independent mount. On my Coachman it did. On a buddy's Keystone, the shade was actually screwed into the valance frame, so he had to add a separate bracket, about $4, before the valance came off. Check first. Cutting that corner cost you a shade that falls on your head at 6 in the morning. Number 2 is the floor, and this is where you can save the most money and make the biggest mistake at the same time. The dealer charges around $400 to lay new flooring in even a small rig. You can do it for about $1.50 a square foot with peel and stick vinyl plank. But the part nobody tells you, and I learned it the hard way, is this. Do not buy the cheap 1.2 millimeter residential planks, the ones about as thick as a stack of 6 sheets of paper. In an RV they telescope, which means they slide and creep apart where yours slide out. The room section that extends when you are parked rubs across the floor. Buy the 2 millimeter rated planks instead, roughly the thickness of a nickel, and they hold. I put the thin stuff in my first trailer, and within one summer in Moab, the planks had crept a ½ inch apart at the slide, and I could see the old linoleum underneath. Redid it with the thicker plank, and it has not moved in 3 years. Number 3 is lighting, and this one is almost free. Your rig came with those flat plastic ceiling fixtures that put out a harsh blue-white light that makes everybody look like they are in a morgue. You pop the lens off, and inside you will usually find an old incandescent or halogen bulb pulling way too many amps. Swap it for a 12-volt LED puck light in a warm 2700 Kelvin color temperature, which is the same warm tone as a sunset, not the cold 5000 Kelvin hospital light the factory used. They run about $3 each on Amazon and pull about 1/10 of the amps, which matters a lot when you are boondocking, meaning camping with no electrical hookup and running everything off your batteries. I changed 14 fixtures in my Class C for under $45, and the interior went from morgue to lodge. Number 4 is the one that gives you the biggest before and after for the least money, and that is cabinet hardware. Your rig almost certainly has gold or fake brass knobs, or those oak-colored plastic pulls that scream rental cabin. Unscrew them, take one to the hardware store so you can match the screw spacing, and replace them with matte black or brushed nickel pulls. They run about $1.50 each at Home Depot. A whole rig is usually 25 to 35 pulls, so under $40 total. It takes a screwdriver and an afternoon. People will swear you replace the cabinets. One tip from the arguing crowd that saved me a second trip to the store. Measure the hole spacing on your old pulls before you buy, because RV cabinet pulls often use a 3-inch center-to-center spacing, about the width of 3 fingers, while a lot of residential pulls are 3 1/4 or 96 millimeter. Buy the wrong spacing and you are drilling new holes you did not want to drill. Take one old pull to the store and match it. Number 5 is painting those cabinets, and this is where the counter-argument matters, because half the RV forums will tell you not to paint cabinets at all. Here's why they say that, and here's why they are half wrong. RV cabinet faces are often a vinyl wrap particle board, not real wood, and paint will not stick to that vinyl without prep. The people whose paint peeled skipped the prep. The fix is a bonding primer, something like Zinsser Bin shellac-based primer, after you scuff the surface with 220 grit sandpaper and clean it with a degreaser. Do that, and a kit like Rust-Oleum Cabinet Transformations, about $80 for the whole rig, will hold for years. Skip the prep and it will peel in a month. I will be straight with you. This is the most labor of anything on the list, a full weekend. But it is the difference between a rig that looks 20 years old and one that looks brand new. Quick pause here. Everything I just walked through, and 70 more tricks like it, is sitting inside the RV Bible. 187 pages of the stuff that actually keeps your rig running and saves you thousands in repairs. The hacks I wish somebody had told me on day one. The maintenance schedules that turn an 8-year teardown into a 20-year rig. The boondocking math that lets you stay off-grid for 2 weeks instead of 3 days. Link in the description, QR code on screen. This is the season you stop guessing. Number 6 is the backsplash behind your stove and sink. Peel and stick tile, but you have to buy the right kind. The cheap foil-backed sheets, the ones that feel like a sticker, will lift and curl the first time you boil pasta and the steam hits them, because RV galleys get hot and humid fast in a small space. You want the gel or 3D vinyl type with some thickness to it, the kind that has a little give when you press it. They run about $10 a sheet, and a typical backsplash takes 3 or 4 sheets, so call it $40. I have run the gel type behind my cooktop for 3 years through desert heat and Pacific Northwest damp, and it has not lifted a corner. Number 7 is the kitchen faucet. The factory faucet on most rigs is a flimsy plastic thing that feels like a toy. You can put a real residential pull-down faucet in its place, the kind with the spray head that pulls out on a hose, and it instantly reads as a $300 upgrade. The catch, and this is the part that stops most people, is that RV plumbing uses half-inch PEX, the flexible plastic water line, not the rigid copper a house uses. So you need a pair of half-inch PEX to standard faucet adapters, which cost about $8 at any hardware store. A solid residential faucet runs about $45. Total job, about an hour, and the only tool you really need is a basin wrench, which is the long-handled wrench made for reaching up behind a sink. And this is the right spot to tell you where the do-it-yourself line stops. Swapping a faucet, changing a knob, laying floor, that is all fair game. But if you open up that cabinet under the sink and you find the water lines are not the simple push-fit or threaded PEX I described, if instead you are looking at a hardwired 120-volt connection feeding a sink-side appliance, or you smell anything sour or see a soft swollen spot in the cabinet floor, stop. A soft floor under the sink means water has been getting in for a while, and that is a leak repair and possibly a subfloor repair, not a cosmetic upgrade. That is a mobile RV tech job, and a good one runs about $150 an hour and is worth every dollar, because chasing a hidden leak yourself can turn a $45 faucet job into a $3,000 floor rebuild. Know which job you are actually looking at before you start. Remember, it is your dinette cushions and the couch. You are not going to reupholster these from scratch. That is a sewing project, and most of us are not doing that. What you do instead is buy outdoor fabric. Sunbrella remnants are perfect because they resist stains and fading. And you wrap the cushions like a present and staple the fabric to the back of each cushion board with a staple gun. No sewing. A few yards of remnant fabric runs about $35, and it hides every coffee stain and sun fade your old cushions collected. The reason I push Sunbrella over regular upholstery fabric is the same reason I trust the right vinyl plank over the cheap stuff. RV interiors live in brutal sun through big windows, and ordinary fabric fades on the side facing the glass within a season or two, so one cushion ends up 2 shades lighter than the rest. Sunbrella is solution dyed, meaning the color goes all the way through the fiber so it holds. A dealer or an upholstery shop will quote you $600 to $900 to redo a dinette and couch in matching fabric. The staple gun method costs you $35 in one rainy afternoon, and honestly, the back of the cushion where the staples live never shows. Number 9 is the fluorescent tube lights, and this one has a hidden lesson. If your rig has those long fluorescent tube fixtures and one of them has gone dim or started flickering, you probably think the fixture is dead. It is not the fixture. It is the ballast, the little electronic box inside that regulates the current to the tube, and it is the part that fails. Instead of replacing the whole fixture, you pull the tubes, bypass or remove the ballast, and drop in an LED retrofit strip for about $12. Brighter light, a fraction of the amp draw, and no more flicker. One safety note here, because this is the only spot on the whole list where you touch anything that could bite you. Those fluorescent fixtures in most rigs are 12-volt DC, the same low-voltage stuff that will not hurt you. But a few older or imported rigs ran 120-volt AC fluorescent tubes, the kind that can give you a real shock. Before you stick your fingers in there, flip the battery disconnect and unplug from shore power, the campground electrical hookup, so the fixture is dead either way. 30 seconds of caution. The light went from making my galley look like a gas station bathroom to looking like a cabin. And on my old WFCO converter, the box that turns shore power into the 12-volt that charges your batteries, the lower amp draw meant my battery lasted noticeably longer overnight when boondocking. Number 10 is privacy film on the windows you do not look out of, like the entry door window and the bathroom window. Peel and stick frosted film looks like expensive etched glass and costs about $8 for enough to do both windows. It lets the daylight in but blocks the view, which matters when you are parked tight at a campground and your neighbor's picnic table is 8 feet from your bathroom window. Number 11 is the shower head. The factory RV shower head is usually a low-end water saver that dribbles, and people assume that is just how RV showers are. It is not. You can put in a better residential-style head, but you want one rated for low flow that still feels strong, because your water pump, usually a 12-volt diaphragm pump, only pushes so much, and your water heater is small, often just 6 gallons, about a third of a kitchen trash bag of hot water. A good head like an Oxygenix, around $25, aerates the water so it feels like a full-pressure shower while using less. That also stretches your fresh water and your hot water when you are boondocking. Number 12 is under-cabinet lighting in the galley. A strip of warm LED tape light, or the stick-on motion puck lights, tucked under the upper cabinets, about $15, and suddenly your kitchen looks like a high-end residential remodel. It runs off your house battery, the 12-volt battery that powers your lights and fans, and it is the single cheapest trick that makes people say your rig looks luxury. Wire it to a small switch or buy the motion sensing pucks, and the same low-amp logic from the ceiling lights applies here. You can run this all evening and barely touch your battery. Mine pulls so little I leave it on as a nightlight when we are boondocking, and it does not move the battery monitor at all. Number 13 is the countertop, and this is another one where I have to tell you where it works and where it fails. Stone Look peel and stick film, about $30 for a whole RV counter, looks shockingly good and is easy to apply. But it is vinyl, and vinyl does not love direct high heat. Right next to the cooktop, where a hot pan might sit, it can scorch or lift. So you do the counter, but you leave a margin near the burners, or you put a metal trivet there permanently. Everywhere else, it holds up fine and looks like quartz. I will admit I learned the heat thing the hard way. First rig, I ran the film right up to the edge of the cooktop, set a pan down that had just come off a 350-degree burner, and watched a brown scorch mark bloom under the film the size of a coffee mug. Peeled and bubbled in a day. On the Class C, I left a 3-inch margin, about the width of a checkbook, around the burners and dropped in a stainless steel trivet permanently. 3 years later, it still looks new. Number 14 is your window shades. And this is a repair instead of a replacement that saves you real money. Those day-night pleated shades, the accordion ones that pull up and down, almost always fail the same way. It is not the shade that dies, it is the cord and the little clutch mechanism that holds them in place. A whole new shade from the dealer runs $200 or more. A cord and clutch repair kit runs about $6 and 20 minutes of your time. I have repaired 5 shades in my rig for the price of one dealer replacement. Number 15 is the bathroom hardware as a matched set. The towel bar, the toilet paper holder, the little corner shelf, and the mirror all came from the factory in that same dated finish. Swap all of them at once for a matched brushed nickel or matte black set, about $50 total, and the bathroom reads as renovated even though you changed nothing structural. Doing them as a set is the trick. One new piece next to 3 old ones looks worse. All of them together looks intentional. Look, I am going to be straight with you. Everything I am walking through in this video is just a small piece of what is inside the RV Bible. 75 field-tested hacks. 11 chapters covering everything from pre-trip prep to driving, towing, security, and stealth boondocking. The stuff nobody teaches you when you buy the rig, the stuff you only learn after years on the road. If you have been watching these videos and thinking I want this lifestyle to actually work, that is the move. Link in the description below, QR code on screen. Make this the year. Now for the one I told you to wait for, and it is number 16. An accent wall behind the bed or behind the dinette, made from lightweight PVC shiplap or beadboard panels. Not real wood. This is the part that matters and the reason the dealer never suggests it. Real wood shiplap weighs a lot, and weight is the enemy in an RV. Because every pound you add to the interior comes out of your cargo carrying capacity. The amount of gear and water and supplies you are legally allowed to load before you are over your weight rating. Real tongue and groove pine for a wall behind the bed could add 40 or 50 pounds, roughly the weight of a full 6-gallon water heater tank. PVC shiplap panels give you the exact same look and add maybe 8 pounds for the whole wall, about the weight of a gallon of milk. They cut with a utility knife, they glue up with construction adhesive, and a wall behind the bed costs about $40 in materials in one afternoon. The reason this one moves resale value more than anything else on the list is that it is the first thing a buyer sees when they walk into the bedroom, and a custom-looking accent wall signals that the whole rig was cared for. I sold my fifth wheel $5,500 over comparable listings, and the buyer told me it was the bedroom wall that sold her. It cost me $40, and here is the bonus that ties it all together. The throw pillows and a packable indoor-outdoor rug, about $35. Sounds like nothing. Feels like nothing, but a rug anchors the living space and pulls the colors of everything else you just did into one intentional look. It is the cheapest designer trick there is, and it is the thing that makes the rig photograph like a magazine when you go to sell it. So that is the whole list, more than 15 upgrades. And if you add up the ones you can do in a weekend, the hardware, the lights, the curtains, the privacy film, you are looking at under $200 and a rig that looks like you spent 10 times that. Think about that for a second. The dealer quote on my fifth wheel was $4,200. The faucet, the floor, the cabinets, the lights, the accent wall, the cushions, all of it came in under $600 and a handful of weekends. That is $3,600 that stayed in my pocket, and a rig that looked better than the one in the dealer's brochure. Pick the 3 cheapest ones and do them this weekend. Start with the cabinet pulls and the valances, because those 2 alone will change how you feel every time you walk in the door. The rest you can knock out one paycheck at a time. By the end of the season, you will have a rig you are proud to show people, and you will have done it all yourself for the price of a single dealer service visit. And the part that surprised me most after 4 rigs is how much the way the inside looks changes, how much you actually use the thing. When my fifth wheel looked like a 1998 rental, we took it out maybe 4 times a year. After I redid the interior for $600, we were out almost every other weekend because it finally felt like a place we wanted to be instead of a box we tolerated. That is the real return on a weekend with a screwdriver and a staple gun. Go pick your 3 and start Saturday.